Good evening, everybody, and welcome to the February 21st Administration and Operations Committee meeting. Thanks for those that are in attendance this evening, and I think we've got a few people on Zoom as well, so that's great. First point of order is attendance. Noting Good evening, everybody, and welcome to the... My bad, sorry. I like to hear my voice, Gary. It's okay. As far as attendance, Councillor Kyle will not be attending this evening, and we have Councillor Miller that's joining us on Zoom. The other councillors are present in the chambers. Approval of the agenda. Does anybody have any additions? Councillor Bell.
I have one piece of other business, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. Councillor Chambers.
Mr. Chairman, I just wanted to make note that it's my understanding that the delegation listed as 4.1 may need a little bit more than the normal 10 minutes. So, Mr. Chairman, I'll move that the agenda be approved and that the delegation 4.1 be allowed additional time.
Thank you for that. Seconded by Mayor Bailey. Any other additions? All those in favor? Opposed? That is carried. Okay. Declaration of pecuniary interest. If you have any now, please state it. Or if we get to one where you do so, please state it at the appropriate time. Delegations and presentations. So 4.1, Heather Keane from Burford Town Square. Come on up to the podium. So we have a few people here, so when you come up, if you could just state your name. For the microphone there, we're going to ask if you can please just push the button so the green light is on. Perfect. And if you want to use the little button there, you can raise that up if you want, and if you could just speak into the mic, that would be great. When you're ready.
Good evening. My name is Heather Keane, and tonight we are here to talk to you about the Burford Connects project. Can you all just take a moment, close your eyes, and think about what you love about your community? Is it the people? Is it the gatherings? Your neighbors? The events? The fun activities? My name is Heather Keane, and I've been living in Burford for almost 20 years. And I love that we have so many clubs and associations. Kathy, what do you love?
Hello, my name is Kathy Diltz, and I have been working in Burford for the past 6 years. And what I love about Burford is the people and the caring spirit that is very much alive in our Burford community. Betty, what do you love?
Hi, I'm Betty Johnston. I've lived in Burford for over 40 years, and we've run a business in Burford for over 40 years. And what I absolutely love is how Burford feels more like a family than just a place where you live. If there's a need in Burford, the people of Burford are going to come together and fill that need.
We are supported by many here today. If you turn around there, basically everybody in the audience, we have the Burford Lions. Just do a wave, Burford Lions. We have Belonging Brant. We have Burford United Church, right here. We have the Burford Baseball. We have the Anglican Church. And we have the Optimist Club. And we have some youth and some children here who all love Burford.
I'm going to give you a little history of what the Burford Connects group is all about. Burford Connects was born out of some community members' desire to pull together the creative force of community members, to celebrate what is strong in Burford, and to begin to envision what they might do together to make it even stronger. This was in response to the sense that as the community grows, there is a desire to maintain a sense of community and a potential need to weave community assets more tightly. The people, the groups, the resources, and the spaces of Burford to ensure that a sense of community is not lost. It also developed because we recognized how COVID had changed the way we could interact and connect over the last few years. At the same time that we recognized that we needed to design how to make these new connections, Belonging Brant was able to meet with us. Belonging Brant has been beside us and encouraging us through this journey. They deserve a huge thank you for all their support to keep us on track and guide us through this process so far. We started on this journey at Burford Connects last March with meetings inviting the whole community and in smaller planning meetings. On March the 8th, two passionate community members who wanted to celebrate what was strong in Burford and envision what they could do to make it stronger, we met. Then in April on the 25th, we held our first community event with 40 people, including the Baden-Powell Scouting Youth Group, who rotated through 4 stations to build a community event calendar. We talked about our hopes for Burford, we listed the groups and associations, and we mapped out our local gifts and passions. In June, we held a follow-up meeting to talk about the 3 themes that had showed up from April's session. The 3 themes were communication, placemaking, and collaboration. So in September, we held another public meeting. We talked about the development of a town square, a Burford Street Museum, and ways in which we can collaborate and communicate better. It must be mentioned that after our first meeting, I called Russell Press, who works for the County of Brant, to tell him what a few of us were thinking. He was extremely supportive. He told me that Brandon Webb would be our county administration liaison. Brandon attended most of our community meetings, as well as our smaller planning meetings. Brandon was helpful in providing anything we needed to know from the county level. Since the late spring, Councillors Robert Chambers and David Miller have been involved. They have been extremely supportive and encouraging ever since then. So our 3 main focuses now are as follows. Kathy?
Good evening. I'm here to speak to you about the idea that has come forward for our community of a Burford Street Museum. You will have in front of you a flyer that has been distributed that describes such a museum that is already up and running in the city of Richmond Hill, where I moved to this area from a number of years ago. Burford, as you know, has a rich and vibrant history, from its fairgrounds to its unique role in Canada's pre-Confederation war efforts, to its very earliest settlement on the west side of our village, on the banks of Whiteman's Creek, to the tens of thousands of years old Indigenous trails and deer migration routes that skirt just south of the current Burford village. Brant County, we understand, recently completed purchase of the lot on the southwest corner of King and Maple Avenue, a stopping place in our village, for it is the one and only traffic light in our village. Did you know that that particular site also has a rich history? As early as 1833, it was the site of a hotel and tavern built and owned by Alexander Dickey, hence the one-time name of Burford Village as Dickey's Corners. For 2 centuries, that particular site has been a stopping place, a gathering place, a community space, where strangers were welcomed, friends were made, and stories were shared. We seek to honor and live into that tradition with the hopes and plans we share with you today. We would like, with your help, to celebrate that story and rich heritage by constructing a street museum. Signs posted telling the history of our village at strategic places throughout. Besides preserving Burford's heritage, telling Burford's unique story, and fostering community, we hope it will encourage walkability in the village and generate foot traffic that will be of economic benefit to both Burford Village and the county. Richmond Hill, where I lived for 25 years, has done this, and you have that information there for your availability to look at. The Burford Connects group would like to work with you and community partners, our schools, churches, service clubs, business, etc., to create a Burford Street Museum so we can build on those traits that we treasure and that make Burford so special: friendship, caring, community, the arts, and a sense of belonging for all. We have already had one meeting with Kayla Kickman, the Arts, Culture, and Heritage Officer for the County of Brant, to discuss possible options moving forward, and we are grateful for her input, creativity, and inspiration. Thank you for your consideration of this proposal. Heather?
So the other area is communication and collaboration. We are working on connecting the many local groups that are in Burford and see how we can start supporting each other. We developed a joint flyer that promoted the Lion Santa Parade, the BPSA town decorating, the Light Up the Night event with the Tree of Hope, the Burford Downtown Business, and hosting a shopping spree, and also the Optimist Skate with Santa. I think it's the first time in my 20 years where I saw a flyer where all of those were promoted together. We are also looking at some sort of formal communication. We know that rural communities are losing their newspapers, and that was the main way of finding out what's going on. So we're looking at maybe an electronic information kiosk or another type of board to help with the town in the communication. We have created a Burford Connects Facebook page that we will hope that will be the go-to place to find out all things and everything in Burford.
One of the other things that we discovered is that the people in Burford would really like a town square, a central place where we could start events, have events, socialize, and draw people together. The town square could be at the corner of King and Maple Ave. It would be ideal. Since the county now owns that land, we are hoping that we can, as a community, plan what it is used for and how it is set up in conjunction with the county's proposals. It would be wonderful to have it set up as a gathering place for events and social functions, as well as house whatever it is decided for the communication piece. The Burford community is excited to envision a town square in that location. As a point in history, this piece of land used to be home to the Claremont Hotel, which was the local gathering place for connecting and celebrating in years gone by.
Over the last 50 years, communities like Burford have changed economically, socially, physically, and in addition, the changes that COVID has caused. We are at a pivotal point where residents of Burford need to step up and come together to get involved, to think differently, and build a relationship with county staff so that together we can build a common vision for Burford. We are using asset-based community development to guide us on how to focus on what is strong, not what is wrong in our community. Tonight is the first step in working together. We are here to ask that the parcel of land that was recently purchased on the corner of King and Maple be planned by the residents of Burford and supported by the staff of Brant County. We have a committed group of people who are willing to step up, roll their sleeves up, help plan, and engage the residents, the associations, and the groups so that we can build a town square that the people of Burford will be proud of. The resources that we need are staff time and expertise, help in implementation and installation of the plan, and, of course, funds. But not just only funds from the county. We, in terms of associations and groups, are willing to contribute our funds towards this. So on behalf of Betty, Kathy, and myself, thank you so much for listening to us today. And this presentation will be one of many as we continue to keep council informed of the amazing work of Burford Connects, our progress, and how this new way of community building will make a difference for Burford. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much for that presentation, and I want to say thank you very, very much for using the mic the way you did. That was perfect. Everybody could hear, so that's fantastic. Before I open it up to questions here, I just want to pull on one statement you said there, and I think it's a fabulous statement. Focus on what is strong, not what is wrong. I love that. So kudos on you for that. Questions? Councillor House.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, through you to the group. I wanted to, first of all, love your enthusiasm, love the vision of it all. I wanted to speak specifically to the heritage aspect of it and your references to this. And I was just wondering if we could encourage you to touch base with, we have a Heritage Advisory Committee for the County of Brant. And you've talked to Kayla Cheechman, which is great. And we don't want to slow you down in any way. But that advisory committee likes to try and help promote and preserve heritage throughout the county. And I think some of your goals here are ones that not only are they great for Burford, but they might inspire other ideas for other communities. And so you said this is one of many presentations. I was just wondering if we could maybe ask you to at some point bring one of those presentations to the Heritage Advisory Committee, just to kind of connect the dots on that.
Questions? Mayor Bailey.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and to the ladies, thank you for coming tonight. I'm so glad of your timing too. When the property came available and we bought it, we thought, well, there's lots of things we could do with it once we had it. And we had talked, Councilor Chambers and a few of us had talked about certain things we thought that Burford wanted. So I'm glad that you came forward before we thought we knew what you wanted. So it's good that you can't come. You're going to tell us what you want, because it costs the same amount of money to do it right or to do it wrong, or to have you happy or not happy. So thank you for your timing and acting on it so early so that we can make it exactly what you need it to be. So thank you.
Councillor Bell.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for coming tonight. Burford is a wonderfully nice place. I say that because my grandson lives there, so I've got some skin in that game. But tell me a little bit more about what you will do should you have the town square at your disposal.
So we've had ideas just thrown out at this point because we don't know how much money we will have, or what the possibilities are. But we've thought of a gazebo as a focal point. We know that we have to use that space to have our communication piece, so that when people come into town, they know at the town square, they'll be able to see on whatever kind of board it is, whether it's digital, combination digital, and bulletin board or whatever, is going to be big enough and house all the information that we're going to need, that people coming in or people in town can have that information right there. So the town square will have to have that as well. We've got another idea that we think is a great fundraiser to start off things. It's and I know people have seen these, but that it's a big mural. It would end up to be probably 8 by 16 feet. A company that we know of does this. They have tiles that are usually maybe 6-inch square, and the tiles are like a paint by number, and there might be 240 tiles to fill that mural space. Each individual tile is an individual picture in itself, but when it's put together, it makes another big picture. So in Leamington, they have one of these. It ended up to be a tree of life as the big picture, and each individual picture is something else that fits into that. So how it works is you have a family or a group or something, they purchase those tiles, and then they paint it, and then it's all put together, and their name, family name, would be on that. So it could be a great fundraiser that a family purchases that for $30 or something, and then their name is part of the big Burford mural forever. So there's that piece. There are some other ideas like planting a tree that would stay there that we could have for our Christmas tree of hope. So different ideas, and I know once we get going with this, there will be more ideas coming out of the public of things that we could do.
Thank you. Good ideas. Thank you very much.
I just want to also add, though, we talked about doing things differently, and so this isn't going to be one group or the three of us deciding. Asset-based community development is about the gifts and assets of local residents, and when they're involved and they're heard and they're listened to and they can see, then they'll own that town square. And so there's things like dotmocracy. So we'll present a whole list of stuff. We've already started to get at the Tree of Hope and the lighting. We ask people, what would you like to see in our town, and do that. So we are just guiding and listening and hearing and putting forth. They will decide, and then we will be the messengers and coming back to you saying, okay, this is the funds we need, and this is the activities, etc. So very different. We're going to be very grassroots in this.
And one addition to sort of link everything together is that town square would be the first stop of the street museum tour. And from there, you would be guided to all of the different places where you could go and read about the history of the site. But not just reading of a static history, there are lively ways to bring that story to life. And Kayla has been a part of that conversation. But one of the things we've also thought about is putting QR codes somewhere on so that you could then link to a site where the stories of other places in the village are written by kids in the school, or it gives birth to a community theater event, or sky's the limit. But it is all kind of connected by community in that way.
Any further questions? Councillor Chambers.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I may be the only one in the room that remembers the actual old hotel that used to be there. I remember as a small child walking on the wooden verandas around the corner of where this spot that we're talking about. I was also forbidden to hang out at that particular spot. Not that it was a hotel, it was long closed by the time I was a kid, but that's where the local pool hall was, and my mother wouldn't let me hang around there. So since then, the hotel has burned down, and it's been basically I'll call it a dead corner ever since I can ever remember. So it's encouraging that maybe in the remaining years of my life, I can see something productive on that corner, and that I won't be told I can't hang out there. So having said that, Mr. Chairman, if I could just perhaps through you ask the staff how the best, where do we point the people to with our staff to further this project along, I think is what they're asking. And I know they've mentioned Russell Press, who's no longer with the county, but I'm just wondering through you to the staff if they can comment to the delegation on how best to use our resources as we move forward.
Certainly.
Thank you. Through you, Mr. Chair, I would recommend that Kayla Cheechman, who you've already been in touch with, would likely be the staff person, and that you also participate in the Arts, Culture, and Heritage strategy, which she's going to be leading, and we'll be starting shortly.
Councillor Chambers.
So having said that, Mr. Chairman, if there's no further question, I would move that the presentation be received and that the delegation be advised to work with staff accordingly, and further that they be asked to keep the council advised, and perhaps at some point there will be a budget request. But that would be my motion, to receive and to direct.
Seconder, Mayor Bailey. Questions to the motion? Councillor Miller.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Not a question, just a comment. couple things I don't know if people picked up on it, but kudos to the group that came forward and the volunteers, because what they're not looking just to take over the corner square downtown. They have a use for it. What they did was they identified needs in the community. We don't have our weekly paper anymore, so there was that communication / information component that they're looking to pick up, and a lot of again information about the town itself through the history and that. So I commend the group for doing that, for looking for the gaps and things that would help the community along. And I just want to point out too that when Councillor Chambers and I sat down with them originally, I was very vocal in that this had to be a community-led initiative, right? Don't look to the municipality. We will help. We will help you as much as we can. But keep in mind, this is very much a community initiative, and what we're going to get there is going to be, again, serving the community. So again, kudos to the group for identifying gaps and well, coming up with this great idea. So fully in support of the motion, Mr. Chair.
Thank you for that. Okay, so we have a motion on the table to receive and direct to staff. No further questions. All those in favor? Opposed? That is carried. Thank you very much for your presentation. So just, Councillor Chambers, you were saying you were probably the only one that would remember a hotel being there. I don't think you're the only one that would suggest that you may be the only one that might remember that hotel being there. But anyway, moving on from that. 4.2, Adam, is it Mode? Adam Mode, he's online, I think, here, for the service line warranty program. So Adam, if you could turn your camera on.
Here we go. Hello.
Perfect. Thank you very much. So we're just give us like 20 seconds here. I think a lot of people are going to be leaving, just so everybody can hear. Not that we want you to leave. We're not forcing you to leave. Stick around all night, but if you are, that's fine. We appreciate you coming. And then, so Adam, you can have your presentation. Everybody does have a hard copy of it. So if you want to do your presentation, and you have your 10 minutes. So if you could just, when you start, just state your name and your address, and then you're good to go.
Sure. And should I share the presentation on my screen, or just assume everyone can follow along on their hard copies?
If you can share if you wish, it's up to you.
Sure, I'll share just so I can make sure everyone's able to follow along with me. Just give me 1 minute. I'll put it up. Let me know when you can see it.
Yep, you're good to go.
Perfect. So I can start, correct?
Yes, sir.
Awesome. All right, so my name is Adam Modi. I don't live in Brant, but I live in Mississauga, 6969 Pamplona Mews, Mississauga, Ontario. I am a partnership manager with SLWC, Service Line Warranties of Canada. I've been with the company for over a year and a half now, and I'm the day-to-day contact for our partner municipalities in the Service Line Warranty program. I do appreciate you giving me the time to provide this brief update and overview of the Service Line Warranty program. We've been fortunate to have been working with and offering this program to Brant residents since 2016, but it's been some time since we've been able to provide an official update and overview of the program. So I just wanted to give council an opportunity to get an overview and a quick update on the current status of the program, and then of course answer any questions you may have. So I'll just be quickly walking through who we are, why Brant is partnered with us, how the program works, how the program benefits the municipality and residents, and then of course answer any questions anyone may have. So I just want to quickly start with an overview of who we are. So Service Line Warranties program was originally launched in Canada in 2014 with our first partner, Hamilton, Ontario, after responding to an RFP from them. We were then invited by AMO Local Authority Services to offer our program to their other member municipalities, and we're now partnered with over 70 municipalities across Ontario and Alberta. And across North America, we actually work with over 1,100 municipalities and utilities. We serve over 4.8 million homeowners. Our management team is located in Ontario, and we have employees across the GTA and Quebec. As I mentioned, I myself am located in Mississauga. Our parent company, HomeServe, was recently acquired by Brookfield Infrastructure Partners, a Canadian-based asset management company. And as I mentioned, we have been partnered with the County of Brant since 2016. So why partner with us? So many municipalities find that homeowners are typically not aware of their responsibilities for service lines on their private property. In the event of a issue or failure, it's not uncommon for them to call up their municipal offices only to find out that they're on their own for these repairs, and then from there need to determine if they have any coverage or not, and then finally to coordinate the repairs themselves. The partnership with SLWC helps inform residents of their responsibilities for the service lines on their private property, typically through mailing sent out and paid for by SLWC, and provides them with the option to sign up for the voluntary warranty plans offered by service line warranties if a resident is interested in being financially protected from a service line issue. Optional plans from SLWC can help protect residents and homeowners from potentially expensive repairs to their service lines, provide them with the convenience of not having to find and vet their own contractors, and then, of course, encourage residents to deal with leaks quickly. We work with our municipal partners to communicate the program through channels most appropriate for the residents, and ones that help make sure all those who may be interested in the program can find information on it. Once residents have received our mailings or other communications and have had a chance to review the information, they are then free to make an informed decision related to their external water and sewer service lines. In fact, a 2021 survey conducted on behalf of SLWC noted that 66% of homeowners believe that they were not responsible for the water and sewer lines on their private property, which does highlight the need to inform residents while also making sure a solution is available to them. So we partner directly with municipalities to offer the service line warranty program to residents, and it's not available in municipalities where we have not entered into a formal agreement. The agreement allows us to promote the program to residents, including the use of the county's logo, which helps lend credibility to the information and encourages residents to review the material. Overall, the partnership helps ensure residents can trust the information they receive, and from there learn about their responsibilities for the external service lines and weigh the benefits of the optional plans that we offer. Our partnership really means that we're able to effectively get our information out to homeowners and can therefore offer our plans at affordable rates, which make this a viable option for those interested homeowners. We're not a company most residents would have heard of, and we really want to make sure that residents can trust the information they are reviewing and will not consider it a scam or illegitimate. All material we send indicates that our plans are optional and voluntary, and that the county does not administer or run the program, and no public funds are used. Our communications really arm residents with information on their service line responsibility, and from there, residents are free to sign up for our plans, review their options with their existing insurance providers, or they may choose to take no action at all, but they still benefit from the information that they receive. So just a quick overview of some of the benefits that residents and municipalities receive from the program. So one, an educational awareness campaign done at no cost to the county. Again, these lines are often out of sight and out of mind until an emergency arises. So informing residents ahead of time allows them to properly prepare in case of an emergency. We do not send material to residents without review and approval from staff, so you can be confident in the material that we send. We do not market door to door or over the phone, and we work with staff in the municipality to promote the program in ways that everyone can agree upon. Our plans include thawing of frozen water lines. Our repair hotline is available 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year, including holidays, so customers are always able to contact us when faced with a service line issue. SLWC arranges for the contractor, which alleviates the need for residents on a plan to find and vet their own contractor. If a resident wants to cancel a plan, we make that easy. There are no long-term commitments. Plans can be canceled with 30 days notice. Plan pricing does not increase when a customer makes a claim. They're able to make multiple claims a year, each within the applicable benefit limit. We are legally liable for any work completed on behalf of our contractors, which helps protect the county from liability due to work on shared service lines. And finally, all plans are covered by a 1-year guarantee, so everyone can be confident the repair is completed through our plans. So I did want to take a moment and just make sure everyone is aware of our CARES program. So CARES is an initiative that we've set up to help residents in need. Basically, if a resident in one of our partner communities is faced with a service line emergency and is unable to pay for the repairs, then they can apply for assistance from us. If approved, we're able to tap into our network of contractors to help get that resident up and running again. The program is open to all residents and municipalities partnered with SFWC and is really aimed towards low-income households who currently do not have any form of coverage for service lines and would otherwise not be able to pay for the repairs. We know that many times these residents call into a municipality looking for help, and unfortunately, many may not even realize that they were going to be responsible for the repairs themselves. And in these cases, there is not much the municipality can do since it is a private side matter. But we hope that our program can help these residents and really make an impact in your community. So if anyone does become aware of a resident in such a situation, you can reach out to myself directly. Just a few stats on the program in Brant. So currently in Brant, we have 159 active customers. In the past few years, there's been a lack of promotion on the program, especially during COVID. We took an overall pause on promoting the program with partners as residents had a lot to deal with and resources for staff were very limited. But in the last year or two, we have started to work again with our partners to communicate the availability of the program. While overall enrollment in the program is affected by many factors, including how long we've been partners, the amount of communications we've done in the program, we are currently averaging about 2.5% of residents in all our partner communities signing up for a plan. Of course, service lines are generally out of sight and out of mind, so homeowners' responsibilities and availability of our plans are not top of mind when not actively being discussed. We're more than happy to work with you to promote the program through means and channels that make the most sense for your residents and allow residents to easily find information on our program and help learn about their service line responsibility. The program is really designed to be a long-term partnership, given that service lines are an essential component of the home and do continue to age. And that is a basic overview of the program. Does anyone have any questions?
Okay, if I could just get you to stop sharing there for a minute so I can go back to full
Yeah,
screen.
of course. 1 second.
Perfect. Okay. So, questions? Councillor Bell.
Yeah, through you two, the presenter, could you tell us more or less what the price would be, the cost would be to a typical homeowner in the county of Brant?
Yes, of course. Currently we offer 3 separate plans, one for water service lines, one for sewer service lines, and we also offer an interior plumbing and drainage plan. So the sewer plan is, I believe, $533 a month plus tax. The water plan is $458 plus tax a month, and the interior plan is $608 plus tax per month.
Thank you.
Any other questions?
Cool.
Okay, seeing none, thank you very much, Adam, for your presentation. How does committee want to proceed with this? Councillor Coleman.
Move to receive, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. Seconder? Yeah, Councillor Oakley, I'm sorry, yeah. Any other questions? All those in favor? Opposed? That is carried. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay, moving on to number 5, which is adoption of the previous minutes. Can I get a mover, please? Councillor Howes, seconder. Councillor McAlpine. Questions? Seeing none, all in favor? Opposed? That is carried. Section 6, business arising from the minutes. Anything? Seeing none, moving on to consent items. 7.1, we've got a couple of consent items to be approved here. 7.11, which is RPT-49-23 for the Ontario Good Roads Association Annual Conference Delegations. There is a recommendation. Can I get a mover? Councillor Howes, Councillor Oakley. Questions on that? Seeing none, all in favor? Opposed? That is carried. 7.12, which is RPT-0083-23, which is the 2023 summary report on the County of Brant's municipal drinking water system. There is a recommendation. Councillor Oakley, second. Councillor Coleman. Questions on that report? Seeing none. All in favor? Opposed? That is carried. Consent items to be received. If nobody wants anything pulled, can I get a motion to do them all? Counselor Coleman. Counselor Howes. Nobody wants any pulled? All in favor? Opposed? Carried. Staff reports, 8.1, RPT-0068-23, the Hugh White Drain Court and Revision Appointments. My understanding is that Mr. Walton wishes to speak to this.
Through the chair to committee, just
Pardon me,
briefly.
sorry to interrupt you there. Can I get a mover get on the floor first? Councillor Oakley, Councillor Coleman. Sorry, Rob, go ahead.
Just one small detail to discuss. We did put the recommendation there with 3 spots. As you'll note in the report, council can appoint either 3 or 5 members at your discretion. We certainly have no opinion one way or the other, whichever you want to do that. The court revision is tentatively planned for March 28th, which is the night of a council meeting, but it will be at 4:30 because of the setup for the tech stuff and whatever. We can't do it just before, so that's what time the court revision is planned for.
Okay. So we're looking for 3?
3 or 5.
How does the committee want to proceed? Councillor Miller.
I'll volunteer myself.
Councillor Coleman as well. Who wants to be the 3rd? We're going to go 4 then, because we're going to go Councillor Chambers and Councillor Garneau. Does that make sense? We can go we can go up to 5, you said?
If you go more than 3, you have to go 5.
Councillor Chambers. Okay. Councillor Garneau, you're good? Okay. So we have Councillor Miller, Councillor Coleman, and Councillor Garneau. Everybody's good with that? Okay. So we got a mover and a seconder, and they are good with those 3 appointments? All in favor? Opposed? That is carried. Okay, 8.2, RPT 0077-23, which is a request for the taxi fare rate increase. Recommendation, can I get a mover? Councillor Bell? Councillor Oakley. Questions on that report? Seeing none. All in favor? Oh, you have a question, Councillor Oakley?
Through you, Mr. Chair, I believe the committee is to provide direction on what way to go. I believe one company is requesting a rate increase, the other is not, so thus staff is looking to us for direction on that as part of the recommendation.
So what are we recommending, the mover and the seconder?
I would recommend that we apply to both companies.
Makes sense. Seconder's good with that? Okay. Questions on that? All in favor? Opposed? Carried. Okay, 8.3, which is RPT-0108-23. There's various parking and traffic modifications. Now, can I get a mover first to get it on the floor? Councillor Coleman, Mayor Bailey. My understanding here, Councillor Bell, you want to speak to this?
Mr. Chair, I was going to speak in other business, if that's okay.
Okay, absolutely. Councillor Howes.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Through you to staff. Thank you for this report and appreciate seeing all the details and the recommendations. I wanted to ask a question or 2 specific to item number 10 related to Silver Street gaining a new stop sign at the intersection where Silver intersects with Oak Ave and Mulberry Street. So we've had a number of residents who've expressed interest in the increased safety of Silver Street overall. And we discussed it as part of the Transportation Master Plan. We've specifically had residents who've expressed interest in a stop sign at this location to increase safety there particularly and to slow down traffic realistically. My question for staff is, in looking at the chart that accompanied this, And I'm in no way complaining that this is happening. I'm happy to see it happening. Anything that slows down traffic on Silver Street's a good idea. However, I'm curious about the process because the report, second paragraph of the report says staff have recently assessed the intersection following the guidelines, et cetera, et cetera. And then we look at some speed spy data that's more than 3 years old. And I'm just wondering about the process, so that we can all understand this process better and just like the time it takes from obtaining speed spy data to actually taking action, so that we can consider how that applies to other needs within our communities.
Okay. Somebody can speak to that? Rob?
Through the chair to Councillor House. So in the last few years, actually, I think the process in this has changed quite a bit. We've had speed spies for a number of years. And just for council's information, we have 6 of them. In some locations, you can use 1 to get the data, but in some of the larger roads, you would have to use 2. And on Silver Street, we had to use 2. So, you know, in some deployments, we have 3 sets of them, and some deployments, we have 6 sets of them. So we collect data with these continuously. So over a period of time, you do gather a lot of data. So in the last few years, we've had Brand Safe Streets too, which brings the public into the equation for asking for certain areas to be investigated, and that certainly has changed the dynamic a little. So as we get the requests through Brand Safe Streets, and there's a lot of them, you've seen reports on that, the summary reports, whatever. So you know, you prioritize and you work your way through them, and you know, you see a lot of things there, like these reports are coming more frequently now. You'll see, you know, this one has a lot of recommendations. Not everything is recommending what the residents necessarily want, but at least the analysis is there and the data is there. So this data that we use is from 2019. Some of the data that we would have had during COVID, we wouldn't actually consider to be 100% data because of the changes in traffic. Certainly this is before that, and in that area, we wouldn't consider there to be that many changes that would suggest we should have new data. If we had had another area where there had been a couple of new developments or whatever, we certainly would have gone out and gotten new data there. We feel that this data is as current as it needs to be to make this decision. So there's a lot of stuff that goes into that. As I say, over the last few years with Brand Safe Streets, the dynamic of how we do these has changed a little too. And I think from the number of reports that this council, the previous council saw through Brand Safe Streets, you'll see that staff is working on this all the time. And I think we're making over time some good progress. Certainly not getting that list down to nothing, but we're making some progress at it. I think it's been very good practice.
Thank you.
You're good with that, Councillor House? Okay. Councillor Oakley.
Through you, Mr. Chair, probably back to Rob, I imagine. Speaking of Oak Street again, I'm imagining from what you just said that this is we're not looking at a final list for things to do this year. We're still working through it. I'd be curious to know where we're at in regards to Oak Street with trying out the temporary speed bumps program, similar to what we did in Banfield last year. And similar to that, I don't see on here Banfield Street coming back necessarily for those speed bumps. I'd be curious to know if either of those are on the docket for this year to receive that. As we had the delegation, I think, last month, talking about some of the speeding that was occurring further down on.
Okay. Through the chair to the councillor, I'll have to get back to you on that. I'm not really sure where it is in it. Silver Street itself, though, or is it Silver or Oak you said for the speed humps?
Oak.
Oak, okay. I'll have to get back to you.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions? Councillor Chambers.
Through you, just a question with regard to the heavy truck restrictions. Are there exemptions to our bylaw to allow for deliveries and that kind of thing? How does that work?
Through the chair to Councillor Chambers, yes, there are exemptions for deliveries that have to use that route.
If you could just put up the picture of the St. Catherine Street, King Street area of Burford with regard to 8E. There's a diagram of the proposed no truck routing. not sure whether
Who would have that?
that is available. It's easier for me to explain.
I think it's coming here, just bear with me.
It's 8E with regard to St. Catherine Street and King Street. The heavy truck restrictions in the Bishopsgate area is for those of you that have it, if you look at the picture, you can find St. Catherine Street goes north and south. And on the north end of St. Catherine Street, there's a brown area. You got me? Okay. It's number 10 on the,
Yep, we're just bringing, she's got the photo here, we're just trying to bring it up on the screen, stand by. Good to go, Gary, it's there. It's coming wrong.
the mayor says it's page 218 on the agenda.
Yep, we've got it here, it's just going up on the screen.
Sorry, Mr. Chairman, I didn't think it would take this long. This is going to be anticlimactic, I can tell.
No.
Okay, Mr. Chairman, I'll hand wave my way through this. For those of you that do have the,
Yep. There we go. Oh, we got a picture, we're halfway there.
we're getting there. It's number 10.
There we go.
There it is. Yes, that's the one.
Okay, nobody move.
There we go. St. Catherine Street is the street that runs north and south from Highway 53 back to what appears as the brown area on the north of St. Catherine Street. What that brown area is, it's actually a parcel of land about 40 acres or 50 acres. And the access to that piece of property is at the end of St. Catherine Street West. And the only way to get, in that particular parcel of ground is cash cropped with corn and soybeans for as long as I can ever remember. And in order to get the grain out of that field, you have to use St. Catherine Street West, or St. Catherine Street. So if I'm understanding what the bylaw is saying, that those trucks would be allowed to go in and out of that parcel of land on Catherine Street, even though there's a truck restriction sign there. And the reason I'm saying this is it will become an argument because there's no other way to get in and out of there.
That's correct. It's just like in downtown Paris, where there's heavy truck restrictions. The ones that come to deliver things to the businesses here are exempt.
And it may seem odd, but the route into that, you drive in and you turn around in the field. But if it's too wet to turn around in the field, what you have to do is you have to back into it, which means you come in on the east-west street, come around, and then back in. So as long as it's not going to cause problems down the road, I think it's a good restriction to have because it does prevent shortcuts from happening if some trucker would feel that way. But it's important to realize for the residents that grain deliveries and fertilizer deliveries and stuff to that parcel of land has to occur on St. Catherine Street.
Okay, so I think we're clear on that, those, okay, excellent.
And I have one other question, and that's.
Do we need a picture?
That is with the denial of the four-way stops sign on Simcoe Street in Scotland. And I'm wondering that the proposal is to put speed bumps rather than the four-way stop at Church Street and Simcoe Street. A lot of activity and a lot of requests for this area came in as a result of a car that was traveling north and south on Simcoe Street and a car on Church Street, which is supposed to stop now, went through the intersection and almost caused a collision. So by putting speed humps on Simcoe Street doesn't stop people from coming on Church Street, blowing through the stop sign and perhaps causing a near collision. That's what happened in the past. So, and apparently this has happened a few times, and I'm wondering if the concentration may have been on Church Street as why are people going through the stop sign rather than on Simcoe Street. So my preference is to put a four-way stop on that intersection, which would tend to slow the traffic down, which is a problem on Simcoe Street, and put in a further caution by having a four-way stop sign in case people blow through this stop signs on Church Street. And I know it's been looked at, and I'm just wondering why it was denied. What is the reason? There's probably technical reasons that we should be aware of.
Mr. Walton?
Through the chair to Councillor Chambers. In the past, we've discussed this many times where we talk about the warrants for an all-way stop. And this really doesn't meet the warrants, and I know we've installed many areas where they didn't meet the warrants, but we're doing it for other reasons. I don't feel that in this case it actually meets the reasons that we would generally use as the reasons to do that. And I think in some of these areas you have to watch what you're doing too. We already have it, the street already has an all-way stop just up the road. You know, how many of these are we going to put in there to do traffic calming? So we really did look at it in the bigger picture of what's happening in the rest of Scotland. So those are the reasons.
It doesn't meet the technical warrants. I'm just wondering, and I accept that and I understand that. And I know speed bumps have issues associated with speed bumps too, with noise and accelerations and stuff like that. Once you pass them, that particular street on Simcoe Street is a concern with the amount of traffic and the speed of traffic. So perhaps the speed bumps will alleviate some of the speeding problems and maybe discourage people from using that as a shortcut instead of using Highway 24. So I would just like to ask staff to keep their eye on that particular intersection, and if further measures are warranted, even though it may not meet the technical warrants, that they can bring it back and to assess the success of the speed humps, if that makes sense.
Okay. Any other questions on that report? The picture's in our mind. View at the hotel. Anyway. All those in favor? Opposed? Carried. Okay. Moving on to 8.4, which is RPT 0120-23, which is the 2023 River Access Mitigation Strategy. Can I get a mover? Councillor McAlpine, Councillor Coleman. Questions on the report? Seeing none. All in favor? Opposed? Carried. Okay, that's it for section 8. We will move on to section 9, which is committee reports. 9.1, Heritage Advisory Committee. Can I get a mover? Councillor Howes, Mayor Bailey. Questions? All in favor? Opposed? Carried. 9.2, Community Improvement CIP minutes. Mover? Councillor Oakley. Seconder? Councillor Bell. Questions? Seeing none, all in favor? Opposed? Carried. 9.3, Tourism Advisory. Can I mover? Councillor Oakley, Councillor Garneau. Questions? Seeing none, all in favor? Opposed? Carried. 9.4, Brant Connects. Can I get a mover? Councillor Coleman. Councillor Oakley. Questions? Seeing none, all in favor? Opposed? Carried. 9.5, Accessibility. Can I get a mover? Councillor Oakley. Councillor McAlpine. Questions? Seeing none, all in favor? Opposed? Carried. I did those one at a time for Councillor Coleman. Communications, I see none. Other business, Councillor Bell.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chair. I want to give notice that I'm going to bring forward a motion at the next council meeting to make some minor modifications to the parking bylaw in regard of Tom Brown Drive and Lawn Card Drive. It's just a little unfortunate that this came to the fore a little too late to be received in tonight's parking update, but it is very minor in nature, and I think we can deal with it at the next council meeting on the advice of our clerk. Thank you.
Great. Thank you for that. Nobody else had any other business? Last call for that? Okay. So, motion to go in camera. Mayor Bailey, Councillor Coleman, all in favor? Opposed? I think we'll have Okay, so we are back in open session. I do not see anything else on the agenda for this evening. Our next meeting is March the 21st, 2023. Motion to adjourn. Counselor House.